All right, welcome back to Spellstorm Miniatures. This is episode number 6. My name is Jeremiah.
I'm Dan.
And we have a very special guest with us. We actually have my oldest son, Bryce, who is back from college. Bryce, say hi to the listeners.
What up? How's it going?
Very good. Hey, we're going to have just a fun episode for you today. This is going to be the last episode of 2018 for Dan and I, just the two of us as Spellstorm Miniatures. We'll have a special episode for you later in a couple of weeks that we'll have recorded, but this is just gonna be the last time that he and I are just kind of talking about things, and so we're gonna do a little year in review of 2018, and we're also gonna be looking forward to 2019 and kind of sharing what our hopes are for that. So why don't we just get started talking about just some random fun stuff. Hey, any of you guys play any fun games lately?
Actually, yeah. Me and my brother, we played some Lord of the Rings by Decipher, the TCG, and it was quite fun.
Oh, yeah. I remember that game. That game died a long time ago, but it was so epic.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit back in the day. Like, yeah, I think 17, 18 years ago, something like that. But,
whoa, has it been that long?
Yeah, it was my freshman year of college, I think, is when I started collecting that and,
Oh, man.
Opening up all the boosters and everything. Actually, I was just cleaning my my little man cave hobby room there and came across my drawer of just card boxes upon the loader TCG and made me want to play again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we have thousands of cards, don't we, Bryce?
Yeah.
And so we actually busted them out. And we played a 3-player game.
Yeah, and it was quite fun.
To be honest, of all of the TCGs that are out there, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, like the 3 big ones.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually had more fun playing some of the smaller games.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, I really, really loved the Star Trek game that Decipher put out. And then, of course, a couple years later, they put out the Lord of the Rings one. And I collected that one big time. I wanted everything for that. And it was the one game that I probably spent a lot of, when it comes to cards, a lot of energy thinking about synergies and things like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one of the ones that was just so much fun because you could mix it up a little bit and you had to think about the same deck was your good guy deck and your bad guy deck. It kind of made that little bit of difference if you wanted to really go first, second,
right.
How the path lays out.
Yeah, you had your deck had to be divided evenly in half. You had your companion side,
mm-hmm.
and then you had your minion side. And when it was your turn, you played your companions, but then when it was your opponent's turn, you played your minions against them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the challenges was actually managing your hand, because you only had 8 cards, and you had the ability to cycle, and some cards gave you extra abilities. They called it muster, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to cycle more cards, meaning you had more control over what was going on in each of the battle phases.
Mm-hmm. And the game really appealed to Magic players because you had to use a similar system of mana with the Twilight.
That's right.
Oh. And it added its own sense of economy.
Right, because the minion side could only play as much Twilight as was offered
mm-hmm.
by the Fellowship side.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this gimmick, and you can have some serious choke decks. Bryce, you had a choke deck.
Yes, I did, with Gandalf.
Literally, just Gandalf
Nice.
and his ring bearer.
Yeah.
So I went the opposite one time. I had a Hobbit, a full-on Hobbit deck. I would try to stack up almost as much as I could. I'd have 4 or 5 Hobbit. Well, actually start with 4 and maybe get fifth one if I was good for companion, and then allies. I'd have 8 plus allies sitting on the bottom of the board by by number 3 or whatever.
And you also had followers too.
Yeah, and so totally cranked them out, and it was just. Again, you'd feed so much, you just hope that people didn't get the right cards in the early going, and then you kind of space it out.
I've never used the follower mechanic. I play Rohan a lot, and
mm-hmm.
Rohan has a lot of allies, but I've never done the follower mechanic.
Mm-hmm. We don't have a lot of followers in our collection.
Yeah, we did stop towards the end of the game, I think, collecting, and so we have a lot of the early cards, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then later I found a baseball card store in Southeast Portland that was selling them. And so we were able to get the Reflections deck, which I think was a reprinting of some of the really good cards. And then they introduced new cards too.
Those are the foil set ones too, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
and they were all foil. They're beautiful. The good art and everything. So, it sounds like we want to resurrect the game a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. Woohoo!
When you don't feel like playing with miniatures, let's get some cards out.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Keyforge might be edging that back out again. So.
Oh man, last night at my Starfinder game, like every single one of the guys in my group are playing Keyforge. Like guys who I wouldn't even expect. Like Joe went to a Keyforge event at Rainy Day Games on Saturday, and I was completely surprised that he wanted to that he would dive in on that, and he said he had fun, and so there might be some Keyforge decks in our stockings this year.
There you go. That'd be fun. Well, we play some of those games. Yeah, the other games I've played is pretty much Candyland and Uno. That's
Yeah.
The classics. Nice.
Occasional Sorry in there.
Yeah.
But that's the level of my kids. So.
Yeah. We just love games, and we just love talking about them. So, yeah. I wanted to maybe mention something that happened in between our last episode and then today's episode. Last week was my birthday, and I got an email from Privateer Press wishing me happy birthday. I don't know if you ever had that. If you get a birthday,
No, I don't think I've been signed up with them for a whole year so much to have a birthday in there.
Okay, it felt kind of special. I gotta admit, it came 12 hours, like at 4:00 the day before, and it actually when I read the email, I was like, oh yeah, my birthday's tomorrow, and so it was kind of nice. But Laura, my wife, she did something amazing. She, during her lunch break on my birthday, she went over to Ronin Board, and Chad happened to be working, and she just said to Chad, she said, Chad, I want to buy something for Jeremiah for his birthday. What do you think he wants? And thankfully, Chad knew what I wanted and told her exactly what to get.
Excellent.
And so I now have my first unit of Immortals, and I have an Ancestral Guardian to go with them. So I'm pretty excited about that. Scorn in 2019 all the way. Well, after Doom Reapers, I guess.
It's not going to be a bad faction, I don't think.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, speaking of our last episode, we did a great thing. I think last time we had Jason on, and we talked about what it means to build community, and I thought Jason offered some really good insights, and especially drawing from his experience as a dungeon master, and then also in miniature war games and in a number of other games that he plays too. And we got a lot of good feedback. There were some folks who listened to our podcast who thought that it was a really good episode. It's actually the episode that I share with non-gamers. I have some people in my life who are interested in our project here and want to know some of the things that we talk about. And so that's the link that I share, and I just kind of give them a little bit of feedback, a little bit of background information about kind of what we do.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but it was really good. And then of course a couple of days later, Chain Attack, the big podcast in the War Machine world, they do a whole episode talking about a community, the theme of community, and they introduced a new Facebook page or Facebook group. What do they call it? The Community Builder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you sign up for that, Dan?
I have not yet.
Okay. Oh, I did right away, and I actually signed up for it before the episode dropped. For some reason, I got a link or a suggestion or something. I happened to be on Facebook. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then I heard the podcast later, or maybe I already had downloaded the podcast, but I just hadn't listened to it yet. And but I was already part of the group. I was like, oh, hey, And Facebook's one of those places where you can find some really great things, but it's also one of those places where you can find some not so great things.
Well, it reads your mind and it knows what you want, so it'll advertise to you.
Yeah, that too. But like some of the folks that are on there are, can be pretty discouraging. Like for example, in the Community Builder Facebook page, someone posted just a question, and the idea is for people to share positive things about our hobby, and And so one of the questions was, what was the best advice that you've ever received or something? And so people go through and they post some really good advice. War Machine is a fantastic game that has a very high learning curve. But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about what was the best advice I've ever received, and it was really just 2 words, and it was just have fun. And so I posted, have fun, and some positive people, people liked the comment or whatever, and then someone just writes, gay, right on that my posting, and I thought 2 things. One, that's a pretty negative thing to say in a group that's intended to be positive. And then 2, this is 2018, and regardless of what year, you should never use that word, to speak negatively about someone. And so for the first time ever in my Facebook career, I actually reported it. I reported it as hate speech because I thought it was very inappropriate. I actually tried to report it just to the administrators of the Facebook group, but it doesn't report to Chain Attack. It actually reports higher up. Oh. And so hopefully that person just gets some really good feedback about not posting such a thing. I mean, that's a real troll move. You know what I mean? Yeah, of the worst sort too. And so I totally disapprove of that. So, but anyway, so let's go back positive side. Yeah. So so the idea is that we want to foster healthy, positive community, right? And so someone wrote, ever since on our Discord, ever since the has everyone noticed how the Facebook pages are more positive since Chain Attack started the new initiative? Really digging in. I think that was Jason who posted it. And then some other people started posting, and someone was like, yeah, maybe it's worth getting back on. They were so bad that I had quit reading the Facebook pages. And then, and then Aaron Allen gets on and says, yeah, Chain Attack has the right idea. Perry says, super good. And then Captain Ron, in response to that post, says, I think the most important thing he said it's up to us to keep it going in the right direction. And I think that's true. Each and every one of us who is a member of the community and a part of the community, we need to make sure that we're being good, I guess, ambassadors for the game. And folks like that troll posting those negative things, it's not okay. And having just really pushing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, what do you any other thoughts about that? I kind of rambled a little bit about the topic, but
no worries. No, it's the same. I mean, I'm pretty sure he wasn't meaning be happy.
Sure. Yeah.
This is, especially in the, like you said, the age. And I mean, I'm not a big Facebook guy. I just haven't been, and trying to get a little bit back more into it. I'm not part of any group, so when the guys talk about some of that stuff, it's like, again, we don't really need the negativity. I get it. You put some stuff up there, maybe someone disagrees with it. That's cool. Maybe the Chain Attack guys were using like 2D terrain versus 3D terrain, and everyone has their opinion.
Oh yeah, that's a hot topic.
Yeah, I get that. And this is kind of the same way. When you're just putting the vice out there, and if someone just wants to say have fun, well, isn't that the point of playing the games? I mean, sure, a lot of people like winning, and you put a lot of time into this, and winning feels good. But at the same time, if you're not having fun unless you win, this game's going to be a little rough on you in the beginning, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think having a healthy perspective of the game, and I think a lot of folks who come to miniature wargaming have a history of gaming, and so and there's things that you can do to as teaching someone a new game. I mean, Ozzy's 12 and he gets it, so it's not a I just think, but of course he actually spends time and energy on it too. When he'll come home from school and he'll get on War Machine University and he'll just start reading things, and his 12-year-old brain just absorbs it all, and he does not forget a thing. Yeah, it's terrible. He's going to be owning me one of these days.
I did have a game with him. We'll touch later.
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's a good segue. Since our last episode, we had the 3 Commanders event, and you and I were on different teams.
Yep.
You resurrected the some filthy casuals, and then I was on the Jer Bears, and then Greg and Eli recruited Ozzy to be on their team, and all three of us, we ended up playing each other. Actually, my team didn't play your team.
No.
But Greg and Ozzy's team played both of us.
Oh,
So,
that's funny.
Yeah, so when we played Ozzy's team, Greg was made sure to not have me play Oz.
Oh.
That's very nice of him. So of course he fit me with Eli, and I have no idea what Circle does, and so
Well, I think you have a better idea now, but yeah.
I have a much better idea now. Oh my goodness! So why don't you just tell us about some of your games, or maybe a couple highlights from the Three Commanders event?
All right. I can touch on the first round at least. Went in there and ended up going against. It was so first off, the Three Commanders. As a quick recap, was 3-man teams or 3-person teams, I should say, and we ended up getting 12 total teams, which was pretty cool. But they did it. I believe it's German style is what they call it, where there's the 3 tables down, and each team takes one list. We'll flip it face up so you can see which faction, player, whatever, and put that on a table. I believe we didn't get any clear direction on, who gets to pick first table, so we kind of rolled off for that. And so you flip up your paper, each one on a table, and then you go back and you decide who's going to face that guy, or, you choose the matchups essentially. And then the middle table, or, whichever table's left over, is the 2 left over. So...
that style is a little bit different than the team style that we did at the I-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of neat in a way, but first round I got totally chucked under the bus by our captain there, but that's fine.
What faction? Who'd you play?
So I was running minions mainly because I didn't have much time to play between I-5 and here, and it was what I was most familiar with, so I just did the same list. And so I got put down, and then Grimkin, Josh, ended up going against me. So that's what they chose. They chose that matchup, which probably a pretty wise matchup to play into me. The other choices were Rhett and Signar. And anyway, so it pairs out and was looking, pretty decent, except for my matchup I knew was a disadvantage. And I should have, it's one of those things, my mind wasn't, I think, fully into it. Because we were playing Mirage, the 3 flags, 2 circles, and so I kind of looked at it and said, okay, I dropped a Maylock, and there's an objective, and I should have chose magical weapons. That was my first error, is really not choosing that. So that was a good lesson. Pay attention to your opponent's a list that just chose 4 Gremlin Swarms. And so anyway, we got into it, and it went back and forth a bit. It was a Dreamer list. He played the Dreamer.
I was going to ask who the caster was. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I pretty much looked at it and said, okay, either I'm going to have to try to get up on scenario. I won the roll to go first, or I'm going to have to basically try to clock this out, which Josh is a pretty good player. Probably not going to happen. His positioning was better than mine most of the game, and I just couldn't quite overcome it. There was a few bad rolls even on both sides. And again, playing Gators into Skin and Moans.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, not so great because he was able to pretty much kill some of my guys. I should have feeded a turn earlier. I didn't realize he would be able to chop through my lines as much as he did. Even though I kind of looked back on it and the math, I don't think would have made a huge difference, but it may have kept a couple alive. But anyway, he would kill a guy, corpse up, get stronger, right? 2-inch reach. I mean, it was bad, and really it was my first time into that Grimkin style, and just the Arcane Vortex on the Cage Ragers, right? That's what they're the big guys with the cage.
Yeah.
Was just horrible because I couldn't get mortality off ever. And anyway, we ended up winding it down to turn 7. I think we went 9-5 on scenario, so he got me there. Unfortunately,
that scenario's live.
Yeah, it was a live one. I mean, I'm surprised we got pretty good, and it was. I could have contested a little better, especially if I would have done that magical weapons. I could have maybe made it tighter.
Yeah.
It was kind of a losing game from the beginning, though. But anyway, then one other guy on the table lost, and another one won. So we went 1 and 2. So we got.
That was our round too. Bryce, you don't play War Machine, but
no, but I'm a very adamant watcher.
Yeah, he plays Watch Machine, and one of the things that's interesting about War Machine is that there sometimes there's a real paper rock scissors kind of effect between certain factions and certain casters and things like that. And so and for some of us, when we approach a game, we want to try to set ourselves up where we at least have a 50-50, where if we can just position a little bit stronger, or if we can get a couple favorable dice rolls more than our opponent, sometimes that is enough to tip the game in our favor. Our round one, we went 1 and 2 as well, and the one win was my win, and I totally cheated. So here's my mea culpa, if you will.
Confession time.
Yeah, confession time. So my goal was to play Scorn, and I didn't have all the models built yet because I'm really new into the faction, and I've been playing Scorn for the Journeyman League. So I just went back to Cephalix, and I really haven't played Cephalix in since January, and so that's my excuse. It's not a good excuse, but. So I decided I was playing Dan from the Hillsborough Underground, and he was playing Exemplars, I think. He had a bunch of dudes. It was a lot, and I dropped Siphon just because I wanted to run 6 monstrosities. I haven't done that yet, and I've been playing around with the list, and I really wanted to run him all day long. And so we just battle back and forth, and he's up on scenario 2-0, I think, and which is odd for me because normally I'm very aggressive on scenario, and so it just wasn't looking good, and I'm low on clock. I have 2 minutes left, kind of thing, and so I decided that I'm just going to try to go for a assassination. And so I had to position a few sprays appropriately from my overlords to remove some intervening models, and then I move over Siphon, and I have Gallows Bryce, which says if you hit, you can pull the model directly towards you. D6 inches, and so this is the cheating moment. I moved him a full 6 inches, and I clearly didn't read that well, and so I moved him a full 6 inches, and then I sprayed him, and then my next activation was a monstrosity who went over there and clobbered him. Now, in my defense, I could have casted Gallows twice. Yeah. Or if I had rolled high enough, the monstrosity would have had the movement. I mean, it wasn't an absolute, but it didn't feel good.
Could you have still hit him if you rolled lower than a 6?
That's the question mark, because my monstrosity was sort of around the corner of a building, and but the thing about the monstrosity is he has a 2-inch reach on his weapons, and so there's. So the math might have been there had I rolled a 4 on the Gallows roll or something.
Or you could have cast it again, like you said. So it's
or cast it again. Yeah. So it was bad because I didn't do it right, and I felt bad about it. And he called me on it later. He walked over and showed me, and I apologized. And Dan's a really good guy. He's really helpful for me in learning the game. And so, but I did feel bad about it. So. Mm-hmm. And that was our round 1. So the Bears did not win round 1. So in the round 2, I went up against Ozzy's team, and Eli just. So I've only seen Circle on the table twice, and I have no idea that you can just you can kill a model, get a soul token, overtake, spend the soul token, and you can do that, and you can kill 10 drudges in one turn with one single model, and he has this upkeep spell that even though you're outside of the control range, still triggers, and Morvana 2 can cut herself down to 5 health, and then all of a sudden heal back up, and then cut herself down to 5 health again. He just worked me over, and he worked me over in scenario, and it was a proper whooping.
Oh man!
So and I think my other 2, we lost that round 2. So I think after round 2, the Bears were 0-2. Who'd you play round 2?
Round 2, I actually played my own teammate because we got the bye round.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of a mixed blessing in a way, I guess. It's like, yeah, we came to play, right? So I wanted to play, right? Win or lose.
Yeah.
So it was actually good that we were able to set up, and I played Ethan, and he dropped to Fixius 9 Slayers. And just because it's like, well, I could drop, Maylock, but I'm probably going to drop him again next round. So, I dropped my Barnabas just to push the list, right? I wanted to, see 9 Slayers a little bit because, again, this is my first time going into Crix. And I just wanted to, see how hard I can push Barnabas too. And I pushed him again, made some errors, thinking I was more survivable than I was for some of my beasts. Those Slayers can hit hard, and they can take a hit too. They're just tough. But it boiled down to basically I charged Barnabas in there on Aphixius had feeded. I mean, we were kind of running time, getting a little hungry for lunch anyway. So I was like, let's just do this. And so Aphixius had feeded, so he gets a soul token every time you force a beast or spend a fury, something like that. And I ended up going with Barnabas too. He went in there. I had to clear some lanes, give some souls over, and then I just did some bad rolls. Like it took me all of my fury, straight dice even, and then I feeded to restock up on my fury, spent it all down, so I ended up giving them 25 soul tokens.
What?
I don't think I've ever seen that many.
Right, I think he's gonna get every day he'd reach in his bag, and I was like, yeah, at the end of the game I was just joking. I was like, yeah, I was just gonna clock you by flipping it to your clock and taking your 5-10 seconds every time you have to get a soul token out of your bag. But
He gets a piece of paper and starts doing tally marks.
Right.
New strategy for winning.
Basically should have.
Oh man.
So like I said, I just went out there. I hit it all, and I took off one Slayer. Crippled the other one. So I don't think I got both of them. Anyway, I did get both of them eventually. It took me every last little bit though, and so he goes to activate. His caster's sitting on the now 25 plus what he gets 7, so it's 32 focus, right?
Yeah.
And his Slayer was standing behind me. His Slayer basically turns around to hit me in the back arc and hits me and just trucks the damage load, just absolutely cranks it and kills me. And then we're like, oh wait, Barnabas has tough. So we threw, because he felt a little bit Aphixius sitting here on this stack literally 2 inches high on the table of focus.
He wanted a more glorious victory.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I chucked the dice and hey, I hit a 5, so I tough. And he's like, woohoo! And then Aphixius just comes in and wrecks him.
That's awesome. For a buy round, that sounds like a fun game.
Right.
And he savors it, so he's 1, 2 on each focus.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man. So round 3, so we're 0-2. And we're playing some local guys, and I go into a Khador match. So I'm playing Chris, and once again I cheated. So
There's a theme here.
there's a theme, and so I think the biggest lesson is know your rules.
Yes.
So did you know that a model can only be TK'd once per turn?
Oh,
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, it's the last line of the rule, and so a model that's been moved by a TK can only do it once. So I had dropped Thexus into Chris's Mana War, and the Mana War just were eating my drudges, just it was like Pac-Man, and I got scared, and that's really all it was. And so I completely stepped out of the game, completely forgot about scenario, completely forgot about all of my millions of other judges that hadn't died yet, and the potential damage that I could do and I had an ambushing unit coming in. It wasn't it was like fight or flight, and I was just flight. And so I moved up Thexus, and I feeded, moved his Mana Wars out of the way. Then I TK'd one of his Mana Wars to be facing an opposite direction, so I wouldn't take a free strike. Then I TK'd my monstrosity 3 times, and the monstrosity charged and killed Vlad in one shot or something. But the idea of the fact that I TK'd my monstrosity 3 times, that's so Jeremiah is 2-1 on the day, and both victories are because I cheated.
Ouch.
And so I want to apologize to Dan, and I want to apologize to Chris, who, and I don't even know if Chris knows, because I didn't get a chance I didn't learn about that TK like I didn't discover that until just a couple of days ago when I was kind of looking through my list again, and then I just felt really bad about it. And so, Chris, if you're listening, I'm really sorry, and I'm really sorry that it was an overall bad game experience too, because I didn't give him a game.
Yeah.
Because I literally. It was like fight or flight. And I just got scared, and I just did the jankiest thing I could do, and so I would love to offer Chris just an actual game next time. So that's me to you, Chris.
Well, there you go. And Chris is a pretty good guy, so I think he'll be all right. Dan might hold the grudge for a while.
Sorry, I'm seeing him on Wednesday.
Right.
he'll let me know about it.
And that's always that hard point, right? And you hear the drool cults and this and that. I mean, again, Gallos and TK are kind of like a lot of factions have that spell. So I mean,
not Khador.
Well, okay, not Khador. True. Okay, I'll give you that. But I mean, like I at least know what most of those do. Of course, Signar helped with that, and
I never experienced that stuff playing when I was a Khador player. So.
Right.
Oh, and Chris was playing Khador.
Yeah. He was playing,
so he probably wasn't even aware of the rules to call out on it.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's the bad part about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good point. My round 3 ended up against Oz, which was kind of good. I think that was they had put Oz up, and then I think Ron had put his up, and then so the matches laid out, and I got thrown into the trolls, which was fine considering the other was a Circle and Scorn, 2 Ancestral Guardians there. I think Greg was piloting. So, going against he was running Madrak.
Excuse me, sir. Those are Supreme Guardians.
Oh, Supreme Guardians.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
All right. I know.
It's only my favorite model in the game right now. The very reason why I'm playing Scorn.
Exactly. All right. So sorry. And so what's always fun about Oz is he just has a little bit of a different, different lists or playing things. Like he had Sons of Brag chilling on there, which almost no one does. And it was kind of a fun game. Like we both knew we were, everyone's kind of in the fun bracket, I guess, at that point. So, which is a thing. And so we just were having a little fun, and maybe he has that familiarity with me or whatever. And so he was trash talking like a madman, but that's all right.
It's only because he knows you. I think.
I know.
He's the only kid. There's 37 adults,
right?
And he's the only kid.
Yeah.
At this event, and so he kind of has to do something to hold his own, I think.
Yeah, but I think he was having a good time. Kept calling me a bully. Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
No, but we had fun. I knew you were going to choose this. So it was back and forth. So I dropped Maylock again, and so he was running his trolls were 2 champs, Fenblade, a Skinner. So yeah, Sons of Brag and a Skinner. So I mean, and then his battle group was a Bomber and an Axer. So again, you get some different unique lists out of them, which were fun. Anyway, so I won the role of that, go first, and so again, it kind of played out as you expect. Bunch of tough Gators going against a bunch of tough trolls.
Wasn't the final CP 1-0?
Yes, that's how it ended up ending. Basically, we also kind of forgot some rules there. I forgot I had mortality to his champs and done a bunch of damage. I think I had most of his down to 2. He had done 3 damage on all of his whole troll unit with Scaldy and everything. And then went over to his turn, and he feeded and healed them. And then about 4 turns later, I realized, or maybe it was the end of the game, I was like, oh wait, they're mortality. They shouldn't have
been able to
heal.
Yeah.
And so I never cleared out a unit. I didn't score any point. No, maybe I got the Skinner, but I pretty much couldn't clear anything because I left one of his champs there left. I left 2 Fenblades. I just couldn't, because his positioning again, he would just crowd around like a guy making it. It was a little bit different, so it almost threw me off on how to play into it and but it was pretty fun, just charging a Wrestler into his stones and just ripping all again but one, and just going back and forth. But I got his objective at the end there. We were both getting really low on clock, and I kind of saw this was going. I was like, my objective was pretty safe. We're just beating up on each other's units. So I cleared a path to the objective, capped the objective on turn 6, and then turn 5, and then because we were both low, he was pretty much. We were both just oh, okay. I activate and I pass the turn. It was literally 20-second turns because I think we were both under 2 minutes at this point. And it just ended
Yeah, I talked to him afterwards, and he actually said that that he misplayed the Sons of Bragg. He said if I had, I think that turn that you capture the objective, he either forgot to activate them or didn't put them in the right position. So one of those two things. And he said, had I done X, Y, and Z with the Sons of Bragg, he wouldn't have been able to get the objective, and then it would have been a different game.
Yeah.
Knowing that time was ending and going around 7, and I think that's a testimony to how much he's progressed in the game, as a player, to be able to take someone who's been playing for twice as long as him and go and make it a turn 7 game.
Yeah.
So, or a round 7 game, I guess. Yeah. Well, no, that was good. And yeah, like I said, there were 12 teams, and after round 3, the pair down was such that there was only one undefeated team left, and so we did not go into a round 4, and it was kind of nice, and everyone helped clean up and put everything away, and people were out of there earlier than expected. There were some guys who went out for food afterwards together, and like there's a team from Bend that traveled in together, and so they went out, and and so it was nice to. It was a good event, and I'm really glad that so many teams showed up. I guess there was 11 teams. Sorry. There were 12 registered, and when it came to the day of, a couple guys couldn't. That's how you had that bye round in round 2.
Yeah, I guess we should specify that, which again speaks to some of the communities. Yeah, 2 people from different teams had dropped out, and then so one guy was like, "Hey, my team drove up here from Bend. I'll step out if it means, we can form all the teams up." And so. Yeah, there was a couple
2 teams like consolidate or something.
Yeah, mixed match teams in there, and it worked out.
Yeah, it was good. James, I think there was another hiccup, and I think there were quite a few hiccups, and I thought James handled them swimmingly. He was very cool under pressure, and I don't obviously know what the nature of those hiccups were or the outcomes of them. I just know that they existed, and I thought that he handled them well. So the German League is still ongoing. Confession, I have played a total sum of 0 games since our last episode, so I'm a little behind. I need to actually build the model for week 4 and play it, and then week 5, and I think this week is week 6. Like, I'm a little behind. So if I can get out to Rune Board this Wednesday, hopefully, I don't know, maybe get some games in. We'll see. And you're not doing the Journeyman League?
No, correct.
No, so. Our hobby progress. We have the Finish a Figure Challenge, and I did not finish my figure. My figure was Warhog, and there's just a lot of detail there, and I basically have his skin left. He's a topless war beast, and I basically have his skin, and there's a lot of scars and stitches and stuff, and I want to give them a little more extra detail, and so those aren't done. And then, of course, I have to base them. But I hosted a paint jam on Saturday at my house, and it was pretty cool. My evil twin, Curtis, came out. My wife made pancakes, and I had mimosas. And then you came out,
Yep.
and Ozzy was here, and so Ozzy was painting one of his Tau models, and then I, of course, was working on my Warhog, and I think Curtis is working on his bears.
Yeah.
And but it was nice to just sit around and talk and shoot the breeze. I got the idea from listening to an old episode of Paint All the Minis. The host there is Dan Adams, and on episode 11, he had Will Hungerford on. And Will Hungerford was talking about how he and his buddies would just get together and have these paint jams. And that's what Will called them, and so that's why I called it a paint jam. And they just they had food, and they would sit around and shoot the breeze and paint and just talk and hobby, and they bounce ideas off back and forth to each other. And he talked about how it was a real forming for his community, for the group of guys that he played with. And so anyway, so I thought up here, why not start hosting kind of a regular paint jam, and then maybe that's one of the ways that we can contribute to building community, in the Portland area. So I think next time we're going to try to do omelets and mimosas, and if anybody knows how to make Bloody Marys, I love Bloody Marys, but I don't know how to make one. I've never made one. So to all of you out here in the PNW, come to my next paint jam and teach me how to make Bloody Marys. Anyway, that's the invitation. So, yeah, did you finish a figure?
Yep, I got my Gremlin Swarm with his little more custom base done. So I'm happy enough about it. Now I just, I have it based and everything. So he's good to go.
Cool.
Just
All
clear
right.
coat.
And at the end of the episode, we're going to announce what our next figure is.
Yep.
So let's get to our main topic. And our main topic is really simple. We just wanted to have a year in review. Just talk about what our gaming was like in 2018. And then afterwards, we want to talk about what we hope to get out of our gaming in 2019. And so any one of you can just talk first. Tell us about your 2018.
Here, I'll go first. Now, I don't play Warhammer for you listeners out there, but I am an avid gamer. I love board games and all the like. I played a lot of Seven Wonders and Betrayal in the House of the Hill this year. Those two are my favorite, and I'm really excited for all the expansions that are going to be coming out. And actually, in 3 days, the next expansion of Seven Wonders is going to come out, and I'm really looking forward to it. As well as the TCG for Lord of the Rings. I've done a lot of that. And actually, oddly enough, I've gotten back into Magic. I sold all my cards this past year, but I have a buddy who lives in my dorm. He plays Magic. And so that's what we do together.
What format does he play?
He loves Commander, and...
And you haven't been sold on it yet?
I don't like Commander.
Commander is my favorite form of Magic.
It's 100 cards.
Oh,
Yes,
jeez.
it's awesome, and it's singleton.
No. Okay, I don't mind Singleton. I would play 60 card Singleton. That's like not a format.
Yeah, well, I think 100 is because it's designed to be played in quads of four players, and so you need the cards to sustain some of those games.
Oh, but then it's not fat. I don't know.
And you have double life. It's more meaningful. You sit around, you have something to drink, and and
A Bloody Mary, perhaps.
but
Oh wait,
you're playing. Yeah, he's
not quite.
He's only
So
19.
let's say root beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Wink, wink. Oh, he does live on a dorm.
Yeah, and then to top it all off, I would definitely say I've gotten a lot into chess recently,
Yeah.
and I've really expanded my studies on chess. You guys play Warhammer, War Machine, which is actually very much like chess because it's very geometric and things like that. And so I've been studying a lot, like watching YouTube videos. And I have a chess buddy who me and him regularly chess spar, if that's the word for it. I don't know what a chess game is called.
Yeah.
But we battle, and right now our record is 8-1.
Oh,
So,
nice. That's pretty awesome. You guys are evenly matched.
yeah, it's been quite intense.
Yeah. I coach the chess team at your old high school, and it's actually it's less of a team and more of a club because of the high school level in the state of Oregon. Chess is a more individual effort, and so I would say individual sport. But some people challenge me on whether or not chess is a sport, and so I'm just going to say effort. And so I'm really happy that you're playing chess.
Oh yeah.
So I have an interesting defense that I've been studying this past couple weeks. Maybe this break we can talk about this defense.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
yeah, there you go.
Well, yeah. What about you?
Oh, so so looking back on 2018's been interesting. Like I said, really ramping up War Machine Hordes was the biggest thing. That's been my giant expansion that's taken over a lot of space and time. Other than that, Kickstarter took a lot of my money as well. Just good and bad, but I've learned to teach myself stop going on Kickstarter. It's kind of probably better. The fun part is I should have a lot of good games and some cool miniatures and everything coming. So that's that positive aspect of it. But other than that, it's really been trying to get like I said, better at Warhammer Hordes and really learning that and like I said, knowing your rules, and then just help to know some of the overarching rules, and then really setting aside some time with family and playing board games again. Like I said, they're a little bit simpler, like Sorry and Candyland and so forth, but just getting that time in.
Nice. Yeah. Our D&D group we paused on D&D and are now doing a Starfinder campaign, and we're having a lot of fun doing that. We invited a couple new guys to join our team for that, and so that's added some fun dynamics, and so I always have that. and then Laura and I, we play with Joe and Jen, Pandemic Legacy. So this past year we finished season 1, and then we started season 2, and so far season 2 hasn't boded as well as season 1, but it's a little more challenging. And then as far as tabletop war games go, I have not played a game of Age of Sigmar in probably 6 months, and that's been weird because I love Age of Sigmar. It's one of my favorite, just kind of beer and pretzels, set up the dining room table, set up the terrain, and just roll, dice, a crap ton of dice, because that's what Warhammer is, and it's awesome. But War Machine has sort of kind of bubbled to the top for me. I haven't even played 40K in a while either, and so Oz, when he started playing War Machine and he started getting into it, that's become the game of choice, and so that's the thing that we talk about most, and that's the thing that we I guess put our energy towards, and so, but we also play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh. So I have a new deck that I've been working on, and I finally beat Oz last week. So he has a deck that my stuff just couldn't figure out, and so I figured it out finally, and with a little help from Quincy from Guardian Games, and so I'm really happy about it. And so to finally emerge victorious, woohoo! I beat my son, but yeah. So I think as I reflect on 2018, especially when it comes to my War Machine hobby, I expanded big time. A year ago I was only playing Khador, and now I'm playing some Mercenaries and Khador, and now I'm working on some Scorn and some Minion stuff, and so my understanding of the game has been pretty big. But as we transition to looking forward to 2019, my War Machine goals is I actually want to focus, and because I feel like 2018 my mind space was kind of all over, trying all these different new things, and one of the things that makes War Machine so beautiful is if you actually focus on something and develop that actually will eventually lead to you becoming a really good player, because the same kind of tools and tips and tricks that you learn along the way in being good at something has a great crossover effect. So like, for example, I think I want to focus on a very small handful of casters for Scorn as I build up that army, and just play them over and over and over again, get my head beat in until I finally win a game, legitimately too, without cheating.
Yeah.
So, what are your guys' goals for 2019?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a lot of different things. I'm still, again, back and forth. I'd like to start winning more than I'm losing in War Machine, but hey, we'll get there. Like you said, it's the idea of focus down on a few more. Again, that's scattered where everything's so cool, and that's neat and that's neat.
There's a lot of shinies.
Yeah, like I said, 2018 I kind of expanded into some multiple factions, and now I need to maybe offload some of those, or trade, or get where I want to be. So like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm going into Trolls at the beginning of the year at least. Run some Troll Bloods there and try that out, and again focusing on them. There's some hit or misses there. I'm kind of seeing, there's going to be some weaknesses, maybe some strengths. So, again, especially with all the mortality and grievous wounds, it makes me a little scared to run Trolls. But we'll see how it goes at least. If anything else, have some fun with it. There's some neat models. I like their aesthetic, their ideas, some of their stuff. So, nice. Putting those lists together. I'm really hopeful that the mystery box that we got, like I said, you can check it out. I have a little unboxing video of that if you guys haven't seen it yet. Now that's kind of past news, but it came with some decent little troll units, which was kind of an interesting mix, but it also had the meat thresher, and it still confuses me and a lot of other people of why it had the meat thresher, as it's a minions battle engine, so you can't play it any sort of way with trolls right now. No, not even in theme, because if you go out of theme it's still not available.
Oh really?
Yeah, because it's a minions.
I didn't realize it
not
wasn't
Troll Bloods.
available.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you like, as far as I know, maybe someone can correct me, but you can't even play this cool thing. Now, granted, I have some minions and Jaga Jaga and a meat thresher sounds good, but it's kind of. Are you checking? And so
I can include it in Scorn, I think.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And so I'm kind of maybe a little bit hopeful that there's going to be some sort of like rule change that, hey, you can take this meat thresher, like the mercenaries siege crawler can be taken with Signar, which in their mystery boxes they got 2 of them. As far as I know, you can't take 2 because you can only take 1 of the out of faction. But again, maybe that's going to change. So maybe some battle engine changes. Kind of weird.
Is there a rules update on schedule next year for?
Not that we know of. Right, there's the cornucopia going on right now.
Well, here, okay, I'm on War Room right now, and it says Minion. This model will work for Circle, Legion, Scorn, and Troll Bloods.
Oh,
so you could play it out of theme currently.
Oh, okay, maybe.
I think the big question mark is, can you play it in theme in the future?
Oh, maybe that's some of the key. That's maybe those finites I'm not really understanding, because it's like, again, they said, oh yeah, you just add a caster and this whole box can work together. Maybe we all read into that, but it says will work. But when you try to create a list in War Room, it doesn't pop up under Battle Engine. So
If try it without marking a theme.
Yeah, pretty sure I tried it. Oh
well. Top left, you have to hit, and then there's a little check the mark that box that says include minions.
Maybe I don't have that checked. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll show up.
Huh, interesting. So. All right, so maybe I can use it. So maybe hopeful, maybe not. Either way, Meat Thresher is fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm excited, and they announced the Riot Quest is going to be able to cross over with War Machine.
Yeah, and they have a new pig model.
Yeah,
on a tank.
Pig on a tank, exactly. War Machine or Hordes is getting a tank before War Machine. I'm going to say, because Crucible Guard, you have tanks. This is the hot take right here, and we're talking some trash, but it's like a train. Come on, everyone calls it a train, not a tank.
Yeah.
So we'll see a tank, and then Boom Howler. So maybe Trolls could pick up, get Boom Howler 2 and a pig tank.
Yeah, give you new options.
Yeah. So kind of excited about that. Well, and what's funny is I think the tank's going to be it's going to be on a small base. Like,
I heard 50 mil.
Oh, is it going to be a 50 mil? Either way, it's still going to be a tank that's literally is that big. So it's going to be.
Well, pigs are real small. They're
I want to eat a pig in a blanket.
Yeah.
In a blanket.
Well, this is a pig.
I'm sorry. I watched that Office episode last night.
Oh, that's so funny.
This is a pig in steel.
Yes.
So yeah.
A steel blanket.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Iron Curtain.
There you go.
Ooh.
So I'm in agreement with, I think I've heard a couple people too say, and what I was thinking is that Riot Quest is going to have its rules, and then there'll be a secondary card for War Machine.
Yeah, it'll be added
boards.
to War Room or something.
Yeah, and so I
think it's great.
Exciting.
I think that's going to be really awesome because Warhammer already does that. You buy one of their box games and you can use those models in the regular large game. So I have Warhammer Quest, for example, and there's some really great models in there that I can add to my army if I ever play Age of Sigmar again. Bryce, what are your goals for 2019?
Really simple. I want to play more games. One thing I found out is whenever I learn more games, it makes learning the next game that much easier, because there's nothing new under the sun. Every time you learn a new game, you can learn more things about other games that you may have not have seen before. Like you guys, when you learn about new factions, then you learn more about your original faction, sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this or not, Bryce, but our motto here at Spellstorm Miniatures is to inspire you to play more games. So that was perfect. Nice little plug there, sir.
You're welcome.
I outside of War Machine, I want to my D&D group. What we do is we take turns DMing, and so whoever the DM is, who gets to pick the game. And so when we're done with our Starfinder, I want to be ready to run through the Breach for my guys, which is the Malifaux RPG. So that's my goal, I think, for 2019. And then my goal is to actually win Pandemic Legacy Season 2. It's not looking good so far, guys. But so, any non-War Machine goals gaming for you, Dan?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try introducing my son to Mice and Mystics.
That's a great game.
Right, I've always heard some good things about it. I threw up on the Discord and was talking to some guys, and they recommended it. Getting their kids kind of into that.
we have
D&D
that.
light,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So plus they just look like fun little mouse miniatures and giant spatters, easy to paint, kind of fun thing.
Cool.
Lock and load. We need to go to lock and load.
That's a goal that I want to
Yeah.
do. Yeah, that's for sure. And I think my and then my I think my spending goals is to not visit Kickstarter. So that's number one.
Yeah.
But then also, I think I want to get a full Scorn list painted up before I think about buying more models for that. So that's my goal. And my wife listens to my podcast, and so she'll probably hold me to that now. And so you guys all heard it here first.
Yeah. I think there's a meme about that, but hey.
There's lots of memes about that. Hey, why don't we wrap up this episode? I thought we had a pretty good conversation. For those of you out there in listener land, we have a few guests who are going to be joining us in upcoming episodes. And so we're looking forward to that. We have some great topics for you that we think would inspire you to play more games and just get into the hobby a little bit more. I want to make some announcements about some upcoming events. The Journeyman League wraps up at the end of this month on the 30th. And the event, it was specifically for the folks who participated in the Journeyman League, but I think Ben's going to be opening it up to anybody, and so it's going to be a 75-point, steamroller, and you don't have to have participated in the Journeyman League to participate in that event that day, and I think that's kind of nice in the year, with that event. Dan, did you know that there's a new store opening up in Salem?
So I heard.
Yeah. What's it called? Next Level Gaming?
Next Level Gaming, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Aaron Allen posted that they're going to be having a steamroller on the 29th.
Yeah, I think he's hosting that, and it's like capped at like 32 players or something like that.
Yeah, $50 to entry, I think, and it goes for price support and I guess supporting the store as well. You can find more information about that event on the COG Collective events page. What else do we have coming up?
What do we got? Rune and Board Scramblers. Oh yeah, January 6th. That was originally scheduled, I think, the same as the Journeyman League wrapping up, but Chad moved that as Rune and Board recently is expanding their area and getting a much larger room to support all of us miniature gamers.
Yeah, word on the street is that they would be able to support a 32-man event sometime in the future, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, steamrollers are nice. Scramblers. Scramblers are nice.
I'm gonna try to make it out to that.
Yeah, you bring a list and you have, I think scramblers are one list, and then you just get yourself in pods of 4, and it's 2 games max. So if you win your first game, you play the winner of the other person's game, and then if you win, then you get the in-store credit for prize support, and it's a great way to get started and also celebrate the new space.
Yeah,
And meet new people.
exactly.
Exactly. So, and for those of you that don't really participate in events, a scrambler is a great way to kind of be that first dive in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go to a big steamroller or a steamroller. It doesn't have to be a big steamroller. You don't have to go to a steamroller to to play first, but a scrambler is a great way to do that. And then of course January 14th we have the Masters League that starts, and so and that'll be a kind of a ongoing progressive thing. There'll be 2 tiers to that. After the pods, we have another event.
Yeah, our King of Coins. Again, the battle-driven guys, kind of taking that from Jonathan there, and going to run our own King of Coins as we're working on that. So when that wraps up, we'll be able to kick off that and have some fun. Again, the basic. It's going to be 8 coins out there, 4 Hordes factions, 4 War Machine factions. It doesn't really matter what faction you play. You can get any coin you want, and it'll just start out that way. And you challenge somebody for their coin, you win, you get the coin. And that will go on until I think we're finalizing our dates range of how long we want to do that for, and then at the end of the time period, we'll have a 8-man pretty much steamroller person. So if you have a coin, your admittance to there'll be a cost to participate in the King of Coins, but then the final tournament itself it would be your price of admission is the coin, and you'll get to keep the coin.
You have to earn
yeah.
your right to participate in that.
Yeah.
And to get the prize, the grand prize. I think that's an amazing thing.
It'll be some fun. We'll get the rules posted up on the website and everything, and get that going. But
weed out the weak ones.
kind of,
yeah.
Or you can get really lucky the night before, challenge somebody for a coin, steal their coin the night before, and then take their place.
That's right. That's savage.
Oh no.
Oh man. So, well, what's on your hobby desk? Let's wrap this up. What's on your hobby desk?
Yeah, right now I have a few different things. I'm in assembly mode because I just need to get a bunch of stuff assembled until we can get some good priming weather. Okay. And I have a couple fen blades I could start painting, but basically I got some ferro I'm assembling. And
okay, nice. I approve. Do you have a model that you're working on for the Finish the Figure challenge?
I'm not sure which one I'm going to go for right now. Okay. We'll kind of see depending on the weather where that ends up.
All right. Well, you do realize that we're supposed to announce it to the public so they can hold us accountable.
Fine. Be that way. All right. I'll probably work on some fen blades then.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. On my hobby desk, I have some Titan Gladiators that I want to assemble. And then, but my Finish a Figure challenge is actually, I have 2 gun bores, and I want them to look similar, and so I want to paint them at the same time. And so I think I'm going to get started on them. And if I got to finish the Warhog first, but finish with Warhog and then work on the gun bores and get them going. So. Hey, I want to thank everyone for listening today. I want to thank Bryce for joining us and just being a third voice on the podcast. And it was great to talk about some of the games that we played. I hope that all of you listeners had a wonderful 2018, and I hope that you are excited about 2019. When it comes to the War Machine, I'm just excited about where the game is right now. I'm excited about all of the momentum and the direction that we're going, and I'm looking forward to 2019 and getting more games in and seeing what the community can do and bring. So that's good. So, excuse me. I guess that is time to quit. Yeah. So please find us on our website, spellstormminiatures.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter, and you can find us on YouTube. Pinterest and YouTube, not Pinterest.
Oh yeah, we have a Pinterest. It's nothing.
We're getting started on Pinterest.
Yeah, we'll start getting our own models posted soon.
And then we will be on iTunes soon. And so I know some of you folks who listen, you have to listen through the Podbean app or on their website until we get over to iTunes, where for a lot of you guys listen to podcasts that way. But we will be there shortly. And once we're there, we would love to get some positive reviews, just so that other people can find us. And we just want to support people in our area, and we want to inspire all of you to play more games. So thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Boom, 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 boom.